Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to Track E. I am Bob Audette, Partner Lead of Data Management at Guidehouse. I have the distinct pleasure of helping to launch and kick off this particular session, which is really going to be focused on how to establish an successful augmented data quality services across the enterprise for operational excellence. It's going to be presented by some esteemed data leaders from Pylog. The session will be recorded, and the recordings should be made available on MIT's YouTube channel about 3 months from today. Regarding Q&A, it's a 30 minutes, so we're going to first start with probably questions within the room. We've already received a couple online as well, but certainly encourage those using the online, use the Wahuva app to please pose your question. And we'll use the microphone for individuals in the room for Q&A. So I guess with that, I'd like to just very briefly introduce our speakers for today's session. So Dr. Salomon Jager, who is the Pylog Group Chairman, 45 years of cross-industry experience, deep expertise in data, numerous expertise in helping to establish industry standards with respect to data, holds his doctorate in philosophy and systems engineering and logistic design. Joining him today is Dr. Imad Syed, who also has 20 plus years of international experience developing transformational solutions, data and analytics solutions, holds his master's in computer science, also has his doctor in data analytics. And with that, Dr. Salomon.
Thank you very much. The topics we would like to cover today in this 25 minutes is the basics of quantum computing, but then the quantum and brain-computer interfaces, or BCI, versus consciousness. The data quality washing machine, it's a topic we presented 2 years ago. Richard Wang started that one, so we continued some work on that. And the commonality that with Chat GPT and AI, which is, I think, a whole topic on its own. Quantum computing progress, the CDO challenge to that, data analytics, governance, the organizational challenge, and how can CDO strategies be implemented to execute these problems. So first, like I said, quantum computing, for you knows it, but for me it was a surprise when I studied a little bit into that. And I think quantum computing is here to be a disrupt. So if you don't know, our conventional computers last 30, 40 years, it's the top one there, it's classical, it's either 0 or 1, which we call bits. In the quantum computing, it's qubits, but they can take any position between 0 and 1 with any probability, okay? And in that position plays the whole gameplay of superposition, entanglement, and interference. What do we mean by that? Entanglement means if we put two qubits together, and like at the top, the one is at a 60-40% between a 0 and a 1, and the other one a 0-15, it can entangle with another pair, and it can actually produce multiple distributions endlessly. Depending on the moment you measure it, it will take on a stance. Prior to that, it's in endless state. And that's a big thought to really take in. So if you look at that entanglement and you say, okay, you've got one qubit, which is 1, it's 2 qubits. If you've got 2, you've got 4 of them, 3 and 8. And you see where the science are today, we sit with multiple qubits doing all of that stuff. So that's the entanglement. But here's the kicker for me, it's the interference. And this is where Einstein said this is the spooky stuff. And where people are still struggling with this. So the interference is actually a qubit is actually a quantum wave function. It's a small wave function, and each of those qubits is taking on a wave. But then if they entangle, they interfere. So they can absolutely superimpose or change all the characteristics, and you get endless probabilities immediately from that quantum state. So having said that, computer-brain interface is a whole subject on its own. And I was thinking, where does conscious come into this? Because I think that's where the spooky stuff really comes in. So, and I believe that's going to be the disrupt, just like we see today with ChatGPT, etc., and the keynote this morning was one of those areas. I want to come back to that one. So, in 2021, it was the first time where people coupled brain electrodes to a human brain, and just the thoughts drove the computer. And it was stagnant, it was the first time. So that opened a whole area of brain-computer interface, or BCIs, the logic of the mind to neurophysical vibrational data. It's encoded as logical expressions in the brain-computer interface, and that opens the whole thing to quantum computing for solving quantum physics problems. So it's a whole new world that's dawning upon us. If you look at the brain interface, just some of the work that's been done, in 2015, the guys already said brain waves guide our memory function. So there's neuron hum at different frequencies to tell the brain which memories it should store. Another piece of research that was done in 2020 was a new way to plug in a human brain into a computer, and that's via veins. So they put electroded threads through the blood vessels that feed the brain and let people control gadgets with their minds. That was in 2020. And the other day, researchers uncover how the human brain separates, stores, and retrieves memories. So the funded studies identify brain cells that form boundaries between discrete events. Now, if we can't see where this is heading, and we just look at the work which one of our fellow South Africans is working on, Elon Musk. I mean, he was the founder of Neuralink. They already did a lot of work connecting the brain to the internet with a device. The human brain activity is translated into a digital world, and shocking news is just recently, such as in May 25, they got approval to go ahead putting this onto humans and so on. So, having said that, and we just take it back and bring it back to this conference of the CDO. Where's the CDO role in this? And I couldn't help thinking of the data washing machine, which was throw data and let machines do the work. And what's our role in that? So, if you look at the commonality of the washing machine and AI and ChatGPT, what they have in common is a semantic language blocking, coding, indexing, tokenization, and that's the core of this automatic washing machine. Semantic encoding, text embedding, vector databases, that became the foundation for internet search. And the foundation of tuning internet data into information is semantic search, text embeddings, and vector databases and graphical databases. So that's where we are today. And that's also the foundation for all the AI algorithms that's running. So the introduction of ChatGPT shocked the world, and the AI with automated self-learning may not work in favor of humans. So where does this stop now? So where are we at this point in time? So if we take this to the CDO challenge, I want to make the couple of next statements here. And the first one is the near quantum computer, which is there, they tested it, it's leading in quantum computers that are 158 million times faster than our classical computers. So it's a next level. Information is something that is encoded in the state of a quantum system. It's physical in another dimension. In the quantum world, teleportation involves transportation of information rather than transformation of matter. So when I studied and read that, and I looked at the human electromagnetic brain activity, which is translated into digital world, it reminds me that in the 70s, I was a fan of Star Wars. And that's got, if the guy had a little device and he was talking to his buddies, and 20, 30 years later, that's what we're working with. We've got the mobile phones doing all of this stuff. But Scotty beat me up. I think we're close. If you look at this and you listen to all their quantum drives, I think we're entering the sci-fi area. 20 years from today, the guys will laugh at what we're talking about today. So the questions that I've got is, what is it that ChatGPT and AI interface with human brain and consciousness? What is that interference there? And what are the CDO community contribution to this, as it's all about the quality of the data that we need to be managed? If you look at what we're getting there, if it's garbage and you get the results of ChatGPT, if it's not based on the right facts, we're going to end in chaos. So where do we guide this? And is it only the digital data? Is it digitally stored? How do we store qubits? Is it waves in our brains? Is it the frequency storage? We've got a big issue about standards, and I've been working for 3 years in standards, so where do we apply the standards in this thing, and by whose rules, by the way? And we solve a lot of data quality problems, with templates and frameworks and governance and so on. So in quantum mathematics, and all algorithms are there before the qubit collapse. This is the shocking thing. So the moment, it's all potential in millions. So the moment you observe it, it collapses in a specific state. And where does the conscious, where does our thinking get into this? Because at the end, and that was the analogy this morning when the keynote was there, when they had that graph, of the whole AI that's getting simpler and simpler and simpler, and the consciousness or the understanding and the capabilities of the people that's interpreting is getting higher and higher. So it's not, so it's getting closer and closer. So it reminded me, did ride a GS in the hell into South Africa, and 100 years ago that was isolated. Nobody could get in there. One guy with a bulldozer started, and it took him, I can't remember how many months, and he built a path there. So gone are the days where 100 years ago we competed, with shovels against the steam machines and the bulldozers and horsepower, and 100 years later that's gone. The machines won, but we're pulling the levers of those caterpillars, otherwise they will create chaos. So I believe we're right at that crossover point right now. With the machines, quantum machines, there's no ways we can compete with that. But where is that levers that we're going to pull? Where's the governance? And what are we doing as CDOs in that specific space? So we are playing that. It's my job to stir up these questions. And I've got the whole expertise behind me, and I'm leaving Imad to solve these questions and tell you how we're going to do it. Good luck, Imad.
Thank you. Doctor was flying at 42,000 feet, so he'll come down to 30,000 because that is going to be the pragmatic. So doctor, we will match with you, as we move forward. So the topic today is focusing on the product data, augmented master data management, why it is becoming more and more essential. Because from the research and from the surveys what we have is by 2024, which is just a year from now, 90% of data quality, buying decisions will be on automation, and that we are seeing it. But what kind of automation? And especially we have seen in the market already a lot of things. So when we say there are 3 C's that we look at for every enterprise. One is collect the data, second one is connect the data, and then collect it and correlate it. These are the 3 C's that we are going to look at. Now today's use case that I am also going to present, and there is also a video that will demonstrate how you can augment the product data management, product data classification, product data identification. So this is actually to establish the data quality hub. Now we all know that garbage in, garbage out is something that nobody can solve any problems. So data quality hub is actually designed to connect, collect and correlate the data in any enterprise. Now going by that, if you look at by 2026, all the large enterprises, and we are already working with some of them, they are looking at single data analytics governance platform. From a research recently, in every organization there are 2 or 3 different platforms, and nobody wants that. Larger organizations, they are getting rid of multiple platforms, they are investing into one platform. Now there is no single platform available, especially now, to solve all of your domain's data. So that's the reason you need to build a strategy out of that, and the strategy is this foundational strategy. Every organization would like to see the analytics, every organization would like to have the business intelligence coming out of it, but without having the, I think, forgive me about the fonts there, but the metadata is the foundation. Without the metadata, we cannot have the master data, and without the right master data, we cannot have the transaction data. And everybody is actually playing it, having digital dashboards, KPIs, predictive analytics, but without having the metadata. So our objective and what we are advocating to all our customers as well as within the market is that establish the metadata first. Without the metadata, we are not going to get any results of the analytics. I am going to just move to the next one. So from the organization strategy perspective for the CDOs, it's the consolidation and collaboration, that's the strategy, and then the governance and orchestration is the second one, analytics and business performance is the third one. And this is applicable to every organization. 9 out of 10 organizations that we are consulting are 9 out of 10 organizations where we are serving our customers. This is the strategy, because without these 3 steps we will not be able to get to the business performance. So the first one is the consolidation and collaboration, and now we are doing a project at a national level wherein we have to bring in all the products into one repository at a national level. So it will be hundreds of millions of products at a national level and in Middle East, and we already embarked on that, and it's a huge job. And can we, human beings, start looking at the product data and classify it and categorize it? We will not be able to do that. So this is the use case that I would like to demonstrate. So any data coming out of the factory or the production that goes through the automated onboarding, data classification, standardization of it, internal stakeholders alignment, and this is the entire process, it goes through it, and then the objective is to establish the demand and supply process model at a national level, and that's the project. And again, at an enterprise level it's a bit easier, but at a national level is something that is very, very challenging, because you would have data in different formats. That's why we came up with, this is the video, that's why we came up with a tool that does this automatically. Now quick intro here, we are using a standard product hierarchy. We developed an hierarchy that has got the discipline, product category, subcategory, product commodity, class, and that is linking with the UNSPSC and all the standards. So we came up with a mapping or a KDS, key data structure, wherein we brought in all the classifications mapped. So if I am importing the data from one classification, be it from the HSN, be it from the UNSPSC, I would be able to cut across all of them. So the demo here is that you take the raw data, which is, it has imported some records there, the raw data which has got only the description there, nothing. What it does is, since we have established the taxonomy as well as the classification mappings of all the products, you would see that with our ML algorithms that we have developed, it allocates a unique product name, it allocates the classification of it, it allocates also the HS codes, which is for the import and export codes, and it also allocates all the other standards. So you can see that's the the class, that is the unique name that it has, and then this is the HS code that it has allocated automatically, and this is for the product, and this is a product hub kind of thing. So it's a data quality hub. So you bring in any raw data and throw it into this platform or a product, and this is specifically designed for all the products. This is not for any other domain, it is for the products. So it has, sorry, it assigns, so I need to go back. Sorry. Unfortunately, it will run again, but let me just. So, if you have a product which is, a retail product or healthcare product or any F&B product or FMCG product or any MRO product, you can import that product data, raw data, and it automatically assigns all the classifications and all the standards. Why? Because you might have multiple classifications in use within the organizations. You might have the multiple classifications or codifications in use within the country. Since this whole use case is at a country level, at a national level, that's why we have to build the algorithms in such a way that augmented data management is used to establish the quality and also to estimate the demand and supply. Now imagine, even if we are looking at 3 or 4 enterprises or organizations where we have to establish the demand and supply, it's a challenge. We are looking at the demand and supply at a national level. So we would have, multiple, demand channels and multiple supply channels for that. So here what we are demonstrating here is some of the product data, raw product data that we have received from the suppliers. You could receive it from the customs, you could receive it from the retail, you could receive it from any of these aggregators, and from there you will be able to assign all of the data, all of the classification elements. Based upon that, it can establish the demand and supply, and there are APIs that are running into the ERP systems to establish the demand and supply of it. And ultimately we would like to demonstrate what exactly is the demand for each product, or what exactly is the supply of each product, whatever is the import of it. Now then, the beauty of this is it also generates the marketing description, it also generates the technical description of the product. So that was the raw description, and then this is the SAP 40 character description, and then the long description of that. So it generates the technical description, it generates the marketing description, and that's how it takes the master data and classifies that. And now from the modern day CDO challenges, if you look, we have been talking a lot about it, but again, these are the 4 things that every CDO need to focus on. And especially if you are working with multi organizations, then it's a governance and compliance, and then the operational, because most of the time CDOs are looking at only the strategy rather than the operation, and that's where they are losing the trust of the business, because business heads and the CEOs, what they would like to see is the performance of it, operations of it, and then the innovation, and then last is the analytics. And the framework that we are advocating and also advising is, this is the value chain execution strategy framework with 5 E's, which is engage, establish, embark, empower, and ensure. So the details are there, but this is the value chain framework that we are advocating and advising, so that we can get successful implementation of any strategy or successful implementation of any of the CDO programs. Thank you. So any questions?
That's the moderator.
I'd like to open it up for room if anyone has a question, but I'd like definitely make sure you please use the mic.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, nice presentation. So I understand the machine doing the majority of the work, and say in the last use case that you shown, like it's consolidating all kinds of descriptions and generating the valid descriptions for you. Say in a large organization you have a pool of about 10,000 different data items that are doing it. So and it generates it, and then you're trying to use it. How are you authenticating the values it generated? Because it's based upon some guidance that you gave, right? It's not 100% pure. You're talking about quality, right? So quality is not assured unless you are 100% right.
Right.
So how then do you think, again, like the doctor said, like, you know, you still need the levers to maneuver the machine, right?
Yeah.
So who's going to have that kind of time and, you know, visibility to look into this tens of thousands of fields to make sure that they're qualitative?
Right. You know, what we have done is we have established a repository of about 12 million unique products. We have established over a time, and that's our training, you know, repository. And every time we are adding something to it, you know, you need to get it trained. So we just an example from the MRO perspective, we have 500,000 unique, 500,000 unique valves that have ever been produced or used in any industry. And now once we have that, you know, we have covered all the valves, all the different types of valves with all the permutations and combinations. Yes, it's really a huge investment, but we started this 6-7 years ago, and it's growing. And our objective is to hit 100 million one day for the product repository that nobody else has it, so that, you know, we can produce the right quality. And again, it all depends on learning. So machine learning algorithms are also getting improved. And when we did this pilot couple of years ago, we didn't have the accuracy of, you know, higher than 70%, but now we have accuracy of more than 90%. But whatever is not meeting the criteria, then at least you know that you need to focus on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I think we have, this is probably the last question.
I think it's along the lines of the first question, really, is what level of effort did it take to originally put the metadata in place to allow that initial training and set of products over?
1995.
Yeah,
we
it's
started.
from 1995 until now, so it has been you know, a long journey. But again, we are all the way, we are collating the data every time. We are connected with a lot of manufacturers and a lot of suppliers and OEMs, and it has been an effort. But again, you know, today we could not produce that accuracy if we didn't add that metadata. Right. So any other questions, I'm happy to take offline or one-on-one. But thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Right.